All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 11 of the All Drive No Drop podcast with Tickle My Pickleball. David here, and we have a really good one today. We're doing our Paddle Awards of 2024, so we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different awards that we're going to give out, different categories. So that's going to be very fun. But first, David, how are you doing? Did you have a good Thanksgiving? How much turkey did you eat?
So I actually went to a buffet,
Okay.
mainly because my wife's out of town and then my whole family was also out of town. So I went to Golden Corral at 10 with some friends, and then at 6 p.m. we went to a Chinese buffet. So
Wow, double buffet? I like it. I don't think I've ever heard of a double buffet on Thanksgiving, but
yeah, I gained 9 pounds. I had to go before and after.
oh my god, 9 pounds?
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh my gosh, so you did some damage at those buffets.
Yeah, I had to get my money's worth.
Were they pretty busy?
I didn't eat that much turkey. I had more like crab legs than turkey.
I mean, how could you pass up crab legs? So,
Yeah.
can't.
What about you? How was your Thanksgiving?
Well, I didn't. I was not expecting you to tell me you double buffet, so I got to process that. But it was good. Just me and my family, my kids and my wife. We just did it here. My family also. Well, they live a little bit far away, so don't always see them on the holidays. But we had a good one. We did Cornish hens, mac and cheese, collard greens. What else? That was
You got that cranberry sauce?
no cranberry sauce. We didn't. None of that. We don't really care for that as much. Mashed potatoes. Stuffing, of course, and then. I don't even remember what else. It was good food. It was good, and I watched the Lions win. They almost lost. That was scary. Super cold weather here. Didn't do much outside. Went out a little bit. No Black Friday shopping for me. I played pickleball Wednesday night and then Friday morning because I was like, I gotta strategize my calorie burning. Make sure I could get in there the night and then get in there in the morning. So. Besides that, yeah, it was good. And then just like that, the holiday weekend's gone. I got to go back to work tomorrow, so that sucks. But what can you do? But yeah, so we got some good stuff coming. But first, before we get to the Paddle Awards, before we get any farther, we want to, I guess it's like a little post-Thanksgiving celebration here. Bread and Butter, Invader just came out Black Friday. I think they might have sold out already, but I think they'll have another batch where you can get this hot sauce still. It is the Flamin' Saucer Jalapeno Hot Sauce. We're going to do a little taste test. I have not tried it. My wife already dipped into it because she was like, she loves the hot sauce trend from Bread and Butters. But I wanted to do this live. So he's got chicken nuggets. I have a chip because I was going to do chicken nuggets and I just forgot. So what can we do? We'll get a good amount on there. Yeah, wow, the smell is very strong.
It's very it's like a vinegar smell.
Yeah, I'm getting some vinegar. I mean, you smell the jalapenos too, but the vinegar. Yeah, vinegar. It looks like they probably dyed it a little bit. It looks a little extra green, like the alien green. Anyway, you ready for this?
Yep.
Let's go. Cheers. One bite only.
Yeah, that vinegar is really strong.
That's a lot of vinegar. There's a lot of vinegar. Oh man. Yeah. It's it's not really spicy, but the vinegar is very strong.
Yeah, it's a strong vinegar. It taste kind of overpowers the jalapeno, but I thought it'd be more jalapeno forward.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to. This is like auto rating this the worst sauce I've had from them. It's not good. It's not good. It's too much vinegar.
It's okay, but yeah, I did expect it.
What would you? I don't know, dude. I don't think I would eat this with anything. It's I don't like really strong vinegar, so. Oh, yeah. Anyway, but we'll just move right into the paddle. I don't have anything else. You have any more notes on that sauce? That was
it was okay for me.
Yeah. David's definitely the nicer of us, so take that for what you will. Here's the packaging, in case anyone was wondering. The packaging, super cool. This is probably my favorite packaging so far from them. I mean, I did like the Shogun Fat Boy one, but this one's pretty cool. They really knocked it out of the park on this one. The cover, in case anyone's wondering, I never use my covers, but tissue paper if anyone. Yeah, it's just too much work if I'm swapping through all these paddles. I'm like, oh, gotta zip it. But carbon polyester blend with the fiberglass layer. So I only got one session in with this so far. Got a good 2 hours in with it though. You want to give your thoughts first, David?
Yeah, I think it's fine. It was really stiff for me at first, but then I think because I only hit it on Friday for about a few hours, and then like towards the end it started like opening up a bit more. But I think it's a good paddle. It's I would say basically it's just like a poppier Shogun, but in that hybrid shape. And this is like their new shape, right? It's like 16.2 and like 7.6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like a bit shorter, but
they had to redesign it.
Yeah, but overall, I think it's a solid paddle. I don't have too much to say in it. I think it's just that fiberglass gives that extra pop, and it's what you would expect when they're saying like it's basically the same as the Shogun, and then just adding that fiberglass at the bottom. It's a bit more pop to it. It has a really similar feel, but just a little bit stiffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt just a little bit stiffer than the Shogun, but not like probably like not as stiff as like an average thermoformed, I would say. It felt pretty soft. Definitely felt pretty good pop on that. The power level, it's probably slightly below average, so I would it's a step up from the Loco, but not like a significant step up. Definitely noticed, after all the power paddles we've been trying lately, I definitely noticed like I was having to, look at angles more so than just finishing with pure power. And that was even with weight on it. But overall, like I was placing the ball really well. I didn't feel like the sweet spot felt really good. Spin was great. Had a great time controlling it. It was just, that finishing power is probably the weakest point of the paddle. But
it reminded me a bit of the shapeshifter, just because of the way the layers are. So it's like a bit softer at the top, and then once you start driving, it gets a bit stiffer. But like on dinks, for me, it was a bit softer, like on those softer shots. So it was like kind of like a shapeshifter feel.
Okay, I'll have to bring the shapeshifter out with it next time. I didn't feel like I don't remember popping it up at all. Really, it did feel really smooth. So I think, and then I felt like on the some flicks and punches, I was getting a good enough pop to finish the points on those. It was mainly like serves and overheads. I was like, it's lacking a little on the power.
Yeah.
I definitely noticed that, just because like I like have a pretty like standard serve routine, and I just realized it was landing like in the middle of the serve box instead of like deeper, and even with like more power put into it. But yeah, I mean the design awesome. Performance, I do like how like the polyester doesn't show like the ball dust as much, so it looks cleaner. That's just a fun I guess like benefit of the
I never really noticed that actually.
Yeah, like all the ones that have polyester don't show it as much. I realized that with the Shogun, and it just like doesn't show it as easily. I guess it's part like the color, because if it's not all black, so all black shows up easier. But yeah, I like that. Anything else to say on the Invader?
Not much, honestly. Yeah, it's a good paddle. If you want that, like, I guess like a faster Shogun, if you didn't like the elongated shape, I think this would be a good option to go for.
Yeah, feels super maneuverable. I didn't feel like my hands were slow at all, and I put what did I put on there, like probably 10 grams total, 5 on each side, so it didn't feel like I was slow at all with adding that on there from the bottom corner going to the top. You put weight on there, it looked like?
Yeah, I went like the sides, like starting from the top corners down to here, and then I just put some electrical tape over it.
Yeah,
so.
I went 0.5 grams per inch from around here to here. I probably would go all the way to the top if I was going to, but next time I go out, I'll probably put some more on there.
Yeah, might use it tomorrow, but I'm undecided.
Okay, yeah, don't want to make that commitment live right now. Can't do that.
Yes, it's for my men's league, so I need to I have to rein it in before it gets to the playoffs.
Oh, I hear you. I feel like this was a good paddle that I picked up, and I didn't really struggle to adjust to, just since it has such great control. So that was the good thing. I was like, I felt fine playing with it. There's sometimes you pick up a paddle and you're like, if the game's high enough level, you're like, I don't know if I can use this right now. It's just, I'm not feeling it. So that was a good thing. It's like I felt really comfortable with it right away. So I think it has a home, especially for all the people that were playing with Locos. I think this will be a natural transition for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Paddle Awards for 2024. So this might be a little bit different than what you might be expecting. We're each going to have our individual like best pickleball paddles of 2024 videos. So those will be separate. This is going to be like, we'll have some paddles, we'll have some companies, we'll have some training tools, some moments. So we're just kind of going through the pickleball space and giving our awards. And we can, we get to choose the awards. So let's just we're just gonna have some fun with it. The first one up, and I don't really know why I picked this as the first like category. It just is like when I was making a list. So there's no rhyme or reason to the order. But the first one was the first paddle award that I guess we'll present is the best value paddle of the year. So for this category, I'll go first, and then we'll alternate. David will go next on that. And for my best value paddle is the 11624 Jelly Bean, and especially he's had a lot of 11624 has done a lot of sales on these, like bring it to like 69. He's done some blemish sales. I don't know like how low it's gotten. Retail price is 90 after a code, so that's already really cheap. I just think this is such a good like all around paddle. Big sweet spot, soft, good control, and one of the best paddles for someone that wants to enter the game or for someone who's looking to get their first premium paddle. Just this paddle's connected with me when I played it, and I played really well with it, and I think that for the price, and especially when it gets all the sales, it's just the best value paddle by far, and it's the one I recommend for people that are like, what's the best under 100? I think this is hands down it. So shout out to 11624 for making the Monarch Jelly Bean. David, and they're going to make I think they're making the Jelly Bean in all three of their shapes.
Hirachi.
Yeah.
I saw it on their website actually.
So they're already selling it. Okay.
Yes, I saw the Hirachi Jelly Bean, so yeah.
Cool. And then they'll have the hybrid Vapor too eventually, probably soon. So David, what's your best value paddle?
So that one was very close for me.
Okay.
But I aren't expecting this, but I went with the Gherkin PPU line.
Whoa! I did not see that coming, to be honest.
These are also the same price as the Jelly Beans, and they probably don't have as many sales, like or discounts.
Yeah.
But in terms of, they're the only company I can think of that has all three shape options at that $100 price point for thermoform. Like they have a standard, they have a hybrid, and they have an elongated. And all three of them are actually like, they feel very solid. And because I do review a lot of those Amazon paddles that are also $100, and it's just when I hit these next to all of those, I was like, I felt like I was giving a lot of grace to those $100 value paddles because it's like, oh, it's $100. I can't really criticize it too much because it's so cheap. But then I hit these, I was like, these are good value. Like they feel good, and they're like a lot better than those Amazon ones. So for me, yeah, it was this one. The Jelly Beans, I was really close to doing that one as well, but I think for overall value, just because there's more shape options right now, I'm gonna go for this one.
Respect. Yeah, feel free to shout out any honorable mentions. I have a couple honorable mentions on here, but that's
Friday is the other one for me. Oh yeah. I don't know if they came out 2024, which is why I wasn't sure.
Do they only have elongated?
Yeah, they only have elongated, which is also why I didn't keep them on. But
gotcha.
I think that would be another category for me.
Okay. Yeah, so I did not see that coming, so we already started off with a surprise. Love it. Next up, I didn't want to lead with this. I think that's why I didn't put it first. But the biggest flop of the year, what do you have for biggest flop of the year?
This is a tough one for me because it's like,
I thought it was like it was an obvious answer, but I guess the way I'm thinking about it is why I picked what I picked. But
yeah, Because I saw what you put in the notes, but
Okay.
for me, I think I was interpreting it more of like what paddle came out and flopped, and then I just felt like there were so many answers to that one. So
Hey,
like the
if you
ones
can't
that,
narrow it down, just list them. List all the
yeah.
ones that you thought were terrible.
So like any Vulcan paddle that was released this year, uh, considering that they have so many ads, and then people are using the ball in the PPA, I don't think you've ever seen a Vulcan in the wild.
I still have not seen a Vulcan in the wild. I'm on the lookout because I really want to like go up to the person and be like, where did you decide? Like, who did you find that had this, or what knowledge did you get to make you buy this? Because they're not easy to find unless I guess you're watching PPA and you're like, oh, I want a Jay DeVilliers paddle or a
Yeah.
Tyler Loong paddle. I'm like, but who's doing that? Honestly, like probably no one.
Yeah, so that was one. And like the other one I was thinking is the Franklin Dynasties. I feel like I've never seen those, and they have a lot of ads going on as well when you watch PPA. Pro XR is one. Actually, I wouldn't put Pro XR there. I feel like I've maybe seen one or two of those. So,
Okay.
but I would probably say Vulcan for me. Just like any of their paddles that got released, they just all flopped. I'm still on like their email list as like an ambassador, so like I do see what's coming out, and then I like have the opportunity to demo them. But then I just feel like, well, even if I do review it, I don't think anyone's gonna care. So I'd probably just go with Vulcan.
Interesting. Well, let's give them a shot sometime. You know, like if they got something coming up, I'd be interested. It's been a long time. Like I hit the was it the V740, the paddle that Jay DeVilliers was using.
Yeah, that brown one was like completely smooth.
Yeah, it was like heavy. It was clunky. The grip wasn't great. So I'd be interested. You know, I figure they got to be putting a ton of money into this, right? Like they advertise, they sponsor PPA. They're planning to move, like continue with UPAA. They got to be making sure their pros are happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But besides the one I'm gonna say, I probably could name some others, but I just think that the Yola Gen 3 was easily like the flop of the year, and not necessarily the paddle itself, but the whole fiasco that surrounded it. And honestly, the paddle itself, I guess you could say too, because it broke so fast. I mean, I guess it breaks at the same rate as the mod, pretty much. But the Yola Gen 3, this was an event. This was like, I remember this time, this was the most buzz of the year around the paddle launch, was the Yola Gen 3 launch. Everyone wanted to get one. Everyone that knew I was reviewing is like, when are you going to get these? But, of course, I don't have a relationship with Yola, so I wasn't going to get it. I had to find, a back alley deal to get one of these. And so, because they were hard to get at first. And then, like words started leaking out, like the early reviews are like, oh yeah, these are like the most, powerful poppy, like, but they didn't talk about them breaking yet. So like, because a lot of people like influencers, reviewers, they got them like a month early, I think, or like maybe even sooner, and no one reported them breaking until after everyone bought them, which it's kind of interesting because they broke really fast. So it's interesting that, I guess everyone got all the shapes, and I think they just played through them, and that's why maybe they didn't experience them breaking. They just had, because what are there, like 8-9 different versions with the thicknesses and the shapes. It was wild. And then of course, if you don't know the story, basically Yola Gen 3 came out, people got them, they bought them, they got delisted from USAP, and then USAP's hey, like we're gonna have to retest this, and then failed the retesting. It turns out Yola didn't submit the right paddle in the first place, and then basically all that stock had to be returned to Yola. People got their refunds, or they could trade it in eventually, I guess, for a Gen 3S. I ended up returning one of mine. I had two, and it probably took 2.5 months to get my money back. It was pretty crazy, and I think a lot of people were waiting longer, because I remember I made a video about the whole everything going down, and I still kept getting comments like, I haven't got my money back yet, and I'm like, well, I feel bad, but like I don't know what you want me to do about it. I'm like, I have zero pull with Yola, and like their customer service, at least for me in the past, has been really bad. And it seems like, obviously they were overwhelmed with everything going on. So I don't think there's any company that would have had good customer service during that time. There's no way you could have kept up with everything. I think everyone got their money back eventually. I didn't hear anything of anyone getting it. And they did like a pretty long time of like able to return. So I think they did fine with like handling the situation. Obviously there's an ongoing lawsuit. But yeah, that's my biggest flop, the YOLO Gen 3S. I don't think we'll ever see such a scenario again. At least I hope not, because that was pretty wild. Yeah. But and now it looks like YOLO's probably just done with USAP. Like, so I'm assuming. But we'll see in the future what happens. Did you participate in that craze, or?
No, I like hit them. I just hit them for like a little bit, and I was like, kind of got an idea for what they were like and like how they felt, and then I mainly was hitting them to compare against the Vatic Onis when I was doing that video. But yeah, I normally don't do YOLO stuff. I need to find a back alley dealer like you so I can find them.
I got you. I can connect you with that back alley. As soon as I got my money back, that back alley dealer, they're selling the Gen 3S at that time. Got the money back. And he's like, hey, want to buy a Gen 3S? I'm like, no, I don't. I was like, no. I don't want to wait another 3 months to get my money back. Yeah. I had to return it. All right. Next up, most improved company. So I guess this category was a little hard because I was like, well, one, I need to make sure what date the company started. And then I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I got it. I went with, I got two. I got a good honorable mention too. But my first up, I went with 11624 because they went last year from just having basically a catalog paddle. Yeah. And then just, I don't think I've seen any paddle get so popular so fast with the Huarache X and then the Monarchs. And I'm sure next year they're going to, depending on how their power paddle does, it's just going to take off too. But yeah, I've never seen someone gain traction and then see them locally too. Like I see 11624 paddles all over. So I think that they got the most improved company for me for 2024. Just all the hard work that they put. And then also, of course, their alpha program, that's cool too, that they're getting paddles out there, then testing and putting those into the hands of their customers. Who'd you have for most improved company?
Yeah, so 11624, that was my honorable mention, which is also tied with Honolulu Pickleball Company. I think you already mentioned 11624, but for Honolulu, they like came out, I think it was late last year, I believe. And that's when they had like the Vatic Alchemy clones, and then they were like a factory clones. Like that's all they did. But then this year they blew up a lot they did really well chasing the trends. Getting into Kevlar and then the titanium. And they were really smart about that mold. Like they realized players really took an interest in like quantifiable metrics. So they looked at like, oh, how do we lower swing weight and increase twist weight, and did a great job with that mold. So that was another honorable mention for me, but I'm going to go with PaddleTek because they went from completely irrelevant to now like I did make a really good paddle. So yeah, it's number one for me is going to be PaddleTek for most improved.
They're definitely my number one honorable mention. And I debated between the two. I just kind of went, I don't know. Honestly, they're probably almost tied in my mind. But yeah, they like between the 11624 and PaddleTek. PaddleTek probably see more people with them on the courts just because they're a bigger company, more advertising. Yeah. But yeah, like at one point in time, PaddleTeks were taking over with the TKOs, and then with the ESQCs, I mean, just an awesome paddle. And that one was really just because people were begging for it so much. Just I guess kind of a different shape of the Annalee Waters with a longer handle. So it's cool that they're they're listening to people. They're listening to what people want. Which if that many people are asking you to make it so you can sell it to them, I mean, it just makes sense, right? Yeah. But yeah, which PaddleTek would be your favorite?
Probably the ESQ. I probably use that one. I did like the TKO, but I just did not hit the sweet spot very well on that.
Yeah, I was really into the TKO C 12.7. I thought it was going to be my main for a second, but I was just having like super on days where I was doing amazing and then super
Yeah.
off days, and I just couldn't get consistent with it, so I couldn't main it. But like man, when I was on with it, I was like, what am I, a 6-0? And then and then the off days I'm like, I'm gonna have to go join the beginner class. It was that bad. So, yeah, that I never truly mastered that one. But the ESQ, I think anyone can master that one, like no problem, especially with
Yeah.
weight. Next up, best paddle design. So, I'll just tell you right now, I didn't go with an individual paddle because I couldn't. Nothing really like came to my mind. Although now that I'm thinking about it, honorable mention to the Vatic Oni, rest in peace, and the Vatic
Oh
Sagas,
yeah.
and also the Vatic Prism Flash special edition design. Do I have that? I like that so much I went and bought it. The California one, the Sunset.
Yeah, the sunset.
I guess I don't have it here, but so I really love their special designs. I don't know why more companies aren't doing like those special designs because it doesn't take away from anything. Now I gotta rethink if that's my favorite design. But this kind of goes like all together with the packaging, the branding, everything. Really enjoy all the bread and butter stuff that they've done. I think the Fat Boy would probably be my favorite design, although this Invader is pretty cool too. I used to be really big into aliens as a kid, so we'll have to see. But the Fat Boy, love the Fat Boy. Shogun is like probably the simplest of all of them.
Yeah.
But still really a nice design. I think that they're just kind of getting into their groove and they're kind of amping it up with each paddle of like how far can they go. But yeah, bread and butter, and then all the designs that Vatic Pro is doing with their special editions. And I told him, I was like, can you not do special editions and just make like every like don't make the just black paddle. I was like, always have a design on the paddle because it looks awesome. Who do you have for best
bread
paddle?
and butter was my honorable mention. I think the Invader was very close to being number one, but that was my favorite out of theirs. And then the Fat Boy would be number two. Shogun is the most basic looking, but that one had the best box. I think that had the best like opening for the box. But mine is going to have to be Neonic Flow Prime X. I just love the way the edge guard looks. It's just a very pretty paddle. So very simple face, but just looking at it, even when I opened up, my wife was like, "That's a very nice paddle." So
Just a very
Neonic Flow Prime
elegant
X.
design.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting choice. Yeah, I do like how they've done it, and I know they put a lot of thought into it. Like they put it out into their like ambassador stuff, and they ask like, they put in like a whole bunch of different designs, and they're like, which design do you guys like the best? So they're one of the few companies that's actually like researching their design and seeing what people like, which is important because like, I mean, what I like or what you like, we don't know if that's going to appeal to the masses, right? Like for design, like I mean, especially like I don't have any design background, so I'd be like, I don't know. So it's great to just get that feedback. But yeah, I like that. I'm interested to see what else they do with their design. And then if I can, get their naming convention right, the Flow Force.
Yeah.
Flow Force and
Flare.
Flare. Jeez. See, I can't even do it. All the F's. All right. Any other honorable mentions?
Yeah, I'll probably just say Vatic too. I didn't even think about that one. The Vatic Onis are very nice. Sagas, they're nice too. I like the Onis better.
I know. I have the Vatic Oni just still here. I'm like, I can't get rid of it. It just looks so cool. I was so disappointed when it got delisted. I'm like, I would have played this just for the looks. All right. So next up, best new company. Think this is who went last? I don't even remember now. I went first last.
Yeah, I think I'll go. I was interpreting this as like 2024 paddle, right? Or 24 company that came out in 2024.
That's what the intention was, but it looks like, according to one of the paddle companies you've mentioned, I'm already wrong. So what can you do? I already broke the rules.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's whenever it became popular. What year it's popular?
Yeah.
Also works too. But I'm gonna go with Chorus. I think a lot of new companies when they start out as like doing a clone of a paddle and getting big from there, and that's what we've seen from a lot of companies that are popular now. But I think Horse kind of came out strong with just making something that was pretty like not it wasn't super different, but it was different in the sense that they were very transparent about what they had in the surface materials, and it did create a different feel. Like it wasn't groundbreaking or anything, but it was a very good all-port paddle with the shapeshifter. And I'm a really big fan of their new shapes that they have, like the HX, EX, and SX. I like the way it's like the flat top and it tapers down. So for me personally, I really like that shape. And the Fires, I wasn't a huge fan of, but I do see a market for them. So yeah, of course for me, like they're a new company. They haven't really cloned anything. They've just done a lot of original things, and they've done well with it.
They were my honorable mention. So maybe if I had stricter rules, they would have won. But yeah, I that was my honorable mention. I have them here: the Fire, the Shapeshifter. Love that they're doing all of these shapes. Not a lot of companies do all the shapes anymore,
Yeah.
so I think that's great that you give everyone an option. So whether you like that wide body or elongated or hybrid, you can join in on the fun, and you can all have the same paddle from the same company if you want. But I chose Honolulu Pickleball Company, which I just learned might have came out in 2023, but that was not known to me. So I'm just going to pretend they came out in 2024, and they've got all the shapes. They got the J7K. Their naming convention is also a little hard to remember. You basically just have to remember which number is the shape. But really enjoyed the J3K Pro. And then I still, this isn't the 16 millimeter, but the J2K 16 millimeter, which is I have the 14 in my hand. I still go back, bring it out just to make sure, check it other paddles, and I still play with it. I rarely get the time to play like with a main these days. 16 millimeter, but still really enjoy this paddle. Just play really well with it. The most stable like stock paddle around pretty much, and great sweet spot, and just plays really well all around. Love their lineup. J2TI also really good. A lot of people like that more than the J2K. Personally, I still prefer the J2K, but I understand why like people like the J2TI a little bit more dwell time on it, and a little softer. Some cool things coming out from them too. You got the J2KC and the C2, some Gen 1.5 paddles. Haven't hit with those yet. Did you hit with those yet?
No, they're still in the wrap. There's like a KC and like a C2 or something.
Yeah, I think they're both Gen 1.5, and one's just Kevlar, one's carbon fiber in the J2 shape. Maybe the C2 is different. Oh no, it looks the same.
What's funny was I was literally thinking about that one.
Yeah.
Earlier when you were talking about like the jelly bean was like in those different shapes, I was like, I wonder if Honolulu does that. And then now
I think this is the same. We got the stats on here too. The C2, we got 6.93 twist weight and a 115.8 swing weight. So at 8.1 ounces. But they should have all the shapes and like the polyester as well coming out soon, and then maybe the only thing they're missing really is a like true power paddle. I think they'll have something in 2025, but that's been, I mean, personally, obviously this is like a biased opinion, right? Like whatever paddle we ended up liking the most is going to be what our favorite company was for the new year, and that's just what mine personally was, what one I enjoyed the most. Yeah. So, and then Chorus was my honorable mention. I can't think of anything else that really like anything else. Do you have anything else that really like came on strong into the scene this year?
I feel like Mark kind of came on strong at the beginning of the year.
Oof. I should have made a category for I don't know what the category award would be called, but like maybe going too hard and just not having the energy to keep going. I don't know. Yeah, they came on strong. Would they come out in like March, April?
I know it was during the Super Bowl because I was talking to, I
Oh,
had
it
like
was
run
okay.
into a guy
Yeah, so when they
at a Super Bowl party, yeah, and then he knew the owner.
okay, and the owner lived close to you at the time, right?
No, he lives in New York, or he
Okay,
lives in New York City. Yeah, it was like his friends or his fiance's best maid of honor or something's. Um, there's like some connection where we
okay.
were
So
like ended up knowing each other.
they
Yeah,
came out with a kinetic in like February.
I want to say it might have been January,
Wow,
or
and
it
then
could have been last year. I don't
wow.
remember
So
off the top
they,
of my head.
I mean, I guess they revamped and came out with the Mark One, but they haven't done anything since then, right? It's been
Yeah, and I know he's still like with prototypes, so
okay.
he's also getting married soon, so he's probably been busy.
Gotcha. So it took a little backseat. Yeah, they came. They were heating up. I remember at the time a lot of chatter was on them. I don't feel like they really carried that momentum as well as they could have. They had a lot of steam, but yeah, we'll give them a shout out. Give them if they were like if we had a Q1 award, they would have won, for sure.
Yeah, I can't really think of many
I
2024 ones off the top of my head. I
I've
was looking
got
through my videos, but I couldn't see it.
I've got a mention here coming up with this next category. Great transition, David. Love
Okay.
it. Most innovative paddle. It's actually right here. Got the reload. I think this is like the most innovative thing. It's not like an innovative in like the core, but having that peel on the face so you can replenish your grit, and like
Hmm.
the adhesive's pretty good at resticking. I don't know why you would really need to take it off and put it back on, unless you were changing the sheets. Can't really think of a reason. But pretty cool. Hopefully this will be implemented. They'll have some new shapes. They'll have some new technology. Because the paddle on its own is not like anything thrilling. It's just an elongated thermoform paddle. But having the ability to refresh your grit in like instead of having like I forgot, like Pickle had like a sticker you could slap on it, but
Hmm.
that made it heavier, which a lot of people are not going to be happy with. So having one that just changes the grit, doesn't change the weight, doesn't change swing weight, twist weight, just lets you keep playing with fresh grit and the same paddle. That's pretty cool. We'll see. I still haven't seen any of these in the wild, so don't know how the adoption has been going so far in my area. Not great. But I think that this is like one of the areas next year that we could look other. I don't know if like other companies are allowed to do this. Probably not. Probably have a little patent fight over it, I'm sure. But I'm hoping to see that they come out with some new stuff next year, because I really like for most people that's the number one thing. They're like, dude, my grit's gone. Like I'm not
Yeah.
getting the spin. So like if they come out with a good paddle and they can implement this reload system, they're gonna crush it. They just need to get paddles that people want to play with. And I told them, like, you gotta get a hybrid, you gotta get a wide paddle, you gotta get the shapes. Like they're just the people that are playing with elongateds, I feel like are more like higher level players, and they're already getting like sponsors and stuff. So like they're not like they're getting so many paddles they don't need to refresh their grit. But a typical rep player, they play with whatever shape that is most comfortable for them, and they would probably love to refresh their grit. I have an honorable mention too, but you go ahead with your most innovative paddle award.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one also with
Okay.
reload. I think that's just an area that really hasn't been touched upon yet, other than Pickle doing it. But I think it's an area that does need some attention, and I think definitely props to them for being one of the first to do it. But my honorable mentions, I would say, the one I was pretty close to saying was the whatever PaddleTek does with their core, because I think that's what people have kind of been chasing now. They're like, oh, it's like a PaddleTek with a bigger sweet spot. It's not going to an extreme amount of power, but it's like manageable. It gives you more than a Gen 2, and with more durability. And yeah, was really close to being number one for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good shout out to PaddleTek for making a core that like gives pop and power without thermoform and giving those issues. So, not having to risk core crush. I have an honorable mention here for which I think that they could implement this in an even better way. It's the Diadem Icon Infinity Pro and these replaceable edge guards. So I don't have the tool. I couldn't find it. So there's one problem with the tool. I lost mine too. There's one problem with the tool. I'm sure with a flathead screwdriver you could get this out. But anyway, basically they have 3 removable edge guards. If you haven't seen this before, and you probably haven't seen this much because I still have not seen any in person. But so these edge guards weigh about 3 grams each. I think if you had different weighted edge guards and so you could pick which weights you wanted to order, or you could order more in different colors. You just pop these on and off, and then there would be no need for tungsten tape, and you could customize your paddle with different colors. I think it looks pretty good. I don't think that this looks that bad, and it's a little bit of a hassle to change. But the thing is, if all your paddles had, say, you only Diadem, right? You only have those paddles, and they all have the same holes to put your edge guard. So once you have the weight edge guards, you're already good to go. I think this is a space. I don't think you could patent this either. I'm not sure. No one come to me for legal advice, please. And if you take anything I say for legal advice, that's on you. It's a bad idea. But I think this would be really cool if they implemented this in all their paddles, and other people did this too. And obviously great for, this is an edgeless paddle, so it's good there. But yeah, what do you think about that, David? Do you think more people should do this, and should they do different weight setups for these edge guards?
Yeah, the thing is, even though it's kind of marketed as an edge guard, it still has a feel of an edgeless. It still has that kind of plywood feel that you get on a Power Air, or what I think it's really similar to is those Holbrook Aero paddles, because those come with already built-in perimeter weighting, and then this kind of gives you that option. But I think that's a good point of being able to add extra weights to the Infinity, having it come a bit more customizable, because the average person doesn't really know about using tungsten tape or putting weights on the side, unless they're a big paddle nerd, and them having having that on the market, oh, this is built in, you can customize it. I think that's a really smart way for them to kind of market towards newer players.
Yeah, and so you include that with the paddle purchase, right? And I think people would customize it just for the colors alone, right? They'd be
oh, I think the colors would be really nice.
Yeah. So even if they didn't care about the weight, they would definitely customize it for the colors.
Yeah.
So hopefully we see more of that. They also are coming out with wide bodies for that shape. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. I think that will play better. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right. Paddle trend of the year. There's probably a lot of honorable mentions for paddle trend of the year. But what is your number one paddle trend of the year?
So this is kind of broad, but it's it was how all the surfaces kept changing. And we went from Kevlar at the beginning of the year to polyester, and now we're at fiberglass making a play. And I think this kind of rolls into people are trying to get find their perfect feel for the paddle. And it's not something that's really been adopted by the big companies. You don't see Selkirk or Yola doing it, or Vulcan. Well, I guess they're not really a big company, but you saw Volair kind of start to do it, even though they did Kevlar kind of late. But all these newer companies, or in the smaller ones, they've all been chasing that trend of oh, we can. It doesn't have to just be carbon fiber. We can have a softer feel now, or you can have a poppier feel. So they're being more open about what they're putting in the surface, and giving you more options on how you want to feel. Because in my opinion, that's what's going to be the most important, is can you connect with the feel of the paddle, not just the numbers it gives you, but how it actually feels when you're hitting your drops. Do you connect with it? So for me, that trend for me was just chasing that different paddle surface.
Yeah, I got you. I'm sure we'll see 2 or 3 new paddle surfaces next year. I mean, it's always, I feel that's the easiest space to innovate, or the cheapest space, probably the cheapest way to innovate. So we'll see what's next. Haven't seen anything coming up that I'm aware of that's new, but yeah, that's definitely is on my list of honorable mentions. That trend chasing right there. My trend of the year was power. Just like with the launch of the Gen 3 the YOLO Gen 3, and then everyone, the PaddleTeks, everyone just chasing that trend. Like they want more power. And at that point, we're like, is there a cap on this power, or is like, can anything happen? And then we saw the delisting. We're like, wait a second, maybe there should be a cap on power. But yeah, like that's just a trend, and it still, I feel like, is going to be a trend going into 2025. Like everyone is going to want a power paddle for their company, and I think every company probably needs a power paddle to keep succeeding, just because it seems like it's kind of like a flagship paddle nowadays. Like you need a power paddle as your flagship paddle. Obviously there's still a lot of people that don't want a power paddle, but just to get on the radar, I think you do need a power paddle these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was an awesome. It was very close to being a top.
Yeah, and then my trend prediction, I think I already mentioned this, but my trend prediction for next year, we're going to see a rise in paddles being put out that are not approved by either UPAA and USAP. I think you're going to see a rise in companies doing that.
Gotcha.
That's my paddle trend prediction next year. Any other honorable mentions of trends for the year?
No, I think if anything, I was just gonna split up like all the different surfaces, but I think just combining that all into one category.
I like what you did, because I had like that listed, and I'm like, you know what, that just makes sense. People have kind of like gone from Kevlar to polyester to fiberglass and whatever's next, because it seems like fiberglass is like the peak right now. Maybe they'll just throw them all in together. Okay, like a Kevlar titanium.
All these like different layers.
Yeah, I don't.
It probably was being used in the past. Like people probably maybe did already have fiberglass. They just didn't mention it. I think now it's just people are a lot more transparent.
Yeah.
Because consumers are getting smarter. Like, oh, so fiberglass does this. So people understand it more.
Yeah. That's the thing. For a while, like they didn't really talk about what the layup of the paddle was.
It's like how many layers of carbon fiber are you using?
And I think most consumers are just gonna hear like they don't want to know. They're like, there's 4 layers, and it's made up of this carbon fiber and this carbon fiber,
and it says best sweet spot, so that's all they care about.
Every paddle says best sweet spot, so it seems like you don't actually need to worry about that sweet spot these days. Mm-hmm. Most overpriced paddle. I just think that the Selkirk's Lab program, all their paddles they sell at $333 is just ridiculous. And I try to talk people out of Selkirk paddles like that, or the Labs paddles, all the time, because I'm like, just one, you can find more competitive paddles. 2, $333 for a paddle, like it's got to be the best paddle on the market, because that's the highest price on the market. And Selkirk, they just don't make the best paddles on the market. But they have some of the best like marketing in the market, and I think that's why. I mean, that is why they continue to sell so many paddles. They have so many influencers. I think that a lot of reviewers, and I won't say all the reviewers, I just think people don't critique the Selkirk paddles that harshly. They really like look for the best thing about a Selkirk paddle, and they really highlight that and hammer it home, when if you compared it to paddles at a similar price, it just wouldn't be close. So they continue to thrive, but I really think that the Selkirk's Lab paddles at $333 are the most overpriced paddles in the market, and Selkirk, they must sleep good at night making all that money, because I can only imagine what the profit per paddle is on that. Mm-hmm. It must be pretty high. What's your overpriced paddle of the year, and do you think I went too far with the Selkirk?
I'm gonna agree with you there on the Labs just being too overpriced. I will say, like, there aren't that many paddles that are exactly like a Selkirk paddle, which can be a good or bad thing, because if you really like the feel of the Power Air, or if you like that 002, you can't really, there's not that many clones of it out there. but at the same time, I also don't think they are good paddles. So it's, some people might really like them, and then the thing about Selkirk is they make them, they have good marketing, and people either like them or they don't like them. And for most of us, like, we're not huge fans of them. Like, obviously there's a lot better value paddles out there. But the labs program, I think it's a bit too much. Especially if it's like meant to be like their prototype, and they try to like market it as an exclusive club where you have this whole unboxing experience. But honestly, I have a better unboxing experience with the bread and butter paddles. And yeah, 333 is just too much. And I think it sets like a bad precedent, because then other paddle companies start going up higher. So yeah, I wish they would stop that.
What was that your pick too?
Yeah,
Okay.
my pick was the Selkirk Labs.
Okay.
I think I probably put Vulcan if anything.
Vulcan's surprisingly really expensive too. They're
Yeah.
like 250, 280 or something? I haven't looked in a long time, but they're up there.
Because they're just thermoform paddles. I think their like latest lineup isn't bad, but it's just, you came out so late, and with that high price point, it's just kind of doesn't make sense.
Shout out to Vulcan for catching all the strays in this paddle award show.
Yeah, it's all for me.
They're so like out of the radar. Like, I didn't even think about them in any of these categories. That's just, I guess that's just saying something else. Is I didn't even think about them when coming up with all this stuff. Yeah, sorry, Vulcan. We'll try out your next paddle. Don't worry, we'll give you a fair shot. Best memory with a paddle. This is kind of vague, I know, but like, what was the best moment you had with a paddle? Was there or was there just a favorite paddle you had? What was your best paddle memory? Okay,
I body bagged Ben John's little sister with an Olympus, so I'll take that.
Wait, what's his little sister's? That's not Hannah John's, is it?
Not Georgia. It was one of the other ones.
Body bagged Ben John's little sister. Where'd this happen? Like,
it was a Moneyball tournament. I was using the Olympus. I saw her, like, her partner was like really good. It was tough because it wasn't like a mixed tournament or anything. Like, it was, you can have like any gender, and then they just happened to be a mixed team, and using the Olympus. And I remember, like, right after it happened, like, I earned and I hit her. And then I like messaged in like the Spartus Discord. I was like, yo, I took a picture of the house. Like, I just hit Ben John's little sister with this. So I basically body bagged Ben John. So yeah, that was my favorite memory. Just like immediately after it happened, I was like, I gotta let Josh know.
Oh my gosh, that's a great moment right there. I mean,
honorable mention though is I hit James Ignatovich with my Apollo. I body bagged him.
Oh, I thought you meant you hit him with the paddle. I'm like, oh, damn, what'd you do?
Yeah.
Throw it?
I couldn't beat him, so I just had to hit him.
So you body bagged a pro sister and a pro this year. I mean, what are you gonna follow it up with next year?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to hit a reviewer. So
I mean,
I'm gonna find Chris.
That's probably more fun. Yeah, Ben Johns wasn't there at that tournament then.
Oh no, I think his like little sister goes to school at Maryland.
Okay,
and it was like a tournament up in Maryland. I was playing.
I was gonna say you could ask for his autograph. You're like, I just body bagged your sister. Like, probably.
Yeah, no, I hope they never watch this. I'm gonna have to try to like that.
Something tells me Ben Johns isn't watching many pickleball podcasts. It doesn't strike me as a pickleball podcast guy. Yeah, so my best memory with a paddle, didn't body bag any pros or pros siblings. I didn't play. Well, I guess I take that back. I was gonna say I never played against a pro, but I did play against a senior pro, Ava Welsher. Didn't body bag her though. She probably body bagged me, if we're being honest. So, but my favorite memory was with the Picole paddle, and it was like a combination of things. So I played with this. I got this. And I was like, am I going to do like a full review on this? Wasn't sure. But then I got a call to play in this back alley tournament. It was after I made my Yola Gen 3 deal. Had to go back to the back alley. And this literally was, I don't know if, did you see this? This is like it was on the street. So it was on an asphalt surface. It was an alley where like there's restaurants and a brewery. And they set up 2 pickleball nets. And I wasn't really sure what to expect for like quality of games playing in like a tournament like this. Also like how like the ball would bounce and like would it be safe to even play. But I'm like, I played basketball on asphalt, it should be fine. And I was like, and I got this like right around the same time. I'm like, I'm just gonna play with this because I was like, there was no like level. It was like beginner, intermediate, advanced. I'm like, all right. So and it was the same thing. It was like no like men's women's mix. It was just whatever gender. So someone I played mixed with a lot, Carol, asked me to play in it, and I was like, sure, let's do it. And I was like, do you care if I play with this Piccolo paddle? I was like, it might look like a trainer paddle, but it's not a trainer paddle. And she's like, go for it. Let's do it. And the competition was, it was first, you got to drink beer while you're playing. Well, not while you're playing, but like, in between games. I want to do this again. And I guess I have to run it back with this paddle, right? Like, you got to. So it was fun. It was a fun atmosphere. We had people watching, that didn't even probably know what pickleball was. They were just there drinking and eating, and the crowd was getting into it. So super fun. Ended up playing in the finals with this against a guy. I think at the time was like 4'8" or something. Duper. So, and I saw him playing. I was like, yeah, this guy's really good. Like, I was like, he can play. And I was like, do you want me to switch paddles? Like, I was talking to Carol before the game. Like, should I switch? She's like, no, you got to keep going with this. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm already so far committed. Like, what? It doesn't matter if we lose. So, went into that final. And this thing, so, like, it doesn't reset the best, obviously. Have you played with the Piccolo paddle?
No, I haven't.
You need to go all offense with this paddle because like it has pretty good power, and when you're like when you're dictating the pace, it's a lot easier because like when you're trying to dig stuff out with how small the face is, just not good. So I was just going all drive, no drop style the whole time. Nice. And of course, they're trying to target her because there's two guys against us, and that makes it easier if you're just targeting her. Like I can poach all day, and like they weren't really going behind me. But yeah, it was super fun. I had a lot of fun with that paddle. Still try to, I have a whole set of these now because I just had so much fun with it. Try to make people play with it, but people, a lot of people don't want to play with it. It takes some getting used to. So that was my favorite memory of, just like a unique paddle. Also, like in between games, every time after the game, like the other team, like always had questions like, is that a trainer paddle? Like, is this really what you use? And like, other people from like the tournament that we weren't even playing coming up asking me. And one guy afterwards, after the tournament, he's like, can I go hit with this real quick? Like, I need to try this. And he's like, I love it. I'm going to go buy it. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, sure. But yeah, just so like the most attention I've got just from the paddle, it stands out so much. Only thing I think would get more attention would probably be like the Bird Falcon Elite. But I don't think I could perform the similar level with that paddle.
Yeah, you gotta change your like entire stroke mechanics.
Yeah, it's too difficult, and like you really can't hit a backhand with it. You can get a drive with it, but like hitting a backhand with it is really strange. But yeah, and then I had for the next category, or any other favorite memories, or are you done body bagging people?
Yeah, I'm done after I hit James. Though he hit me first, so we're even.
Oh, he hit you first? I'm sure that one was harder.
Oh, yeah, he backhand flicked right into my nipple. That one stung.
I gotta learn his backhand. His backhand flick is so good when it's
nasty.
It's like I just see him practicing. I'm like, I don't think I could go that fast. I'm like, holy shit! And like with his accuracy too.
I felt bad because I was dinking cross court with. So it was like a plane with the pros. So there was like three of us and James. And I was like dinking cross court with the other guy, and then I wanted to hit it to James because like, oh, I feel like we were just going cross court. I should hit it to him, but then I like floated it too high and immediately I was like, oh god, and then he just like smacked it straight at me. I was like, I'm not even gonna say sorry because like you deserve that. I was like, oh.
He wasn't taking it easy on you.
Yeah, so he just like hit me, and I was like, I was trying to be nice to you and hit to you, and yeah, he smacked me. It was so fast. I almost fell backwards.
Oof. I feel bad. I hope I need to get into one of those, like play with the pros or camps, or was it like a camp, or was it just play with like a event?
Yeah, it was like a play in. My friend works at the facility, and he got me in.
Got you.
Apparently he had been doing it since like the morning, and we were like the last one, last session. So he was like tired, and I hit a drive that was like flying out, and then he just like was not awake, and I just like smacked him in the chest, and he was like, "Oh God!"
no.
He's like, "You're gonna clip this, aren't you?"
You did clip that one, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I did. Clip
Yeah, of course. So, man, what was the next paddle category I had? I did have one, the best training tool. What was, I mean, I think we probably both have the same one, but what is your favorite training tool of the year?
Yeah, there's not that many options, right? It's basically like the trainer paddles and then Thinkmaster.
Yeah.
And then I guess the ball machines if you have one.
Ball machines. I was gonna say, have you played with like the mini plastic balls, like the mini pickleballs?
No, I haven't hit those. I've hit the quiet one, like the Ninja, whatever, those squishy ones. I'm not a huge fan of those because they don't really like feel like a pickleball. They just feel like a foam ball that you're hitting against the wall.
Yeah. I guess that's more if you just like are really addicted and you want to get those touches in like your house, like in your room or living room or something.
Yeah, I just throw them at people. I don't do anything.
Yeah. But mine was like the Dink Master. Like I guess like I have my ball machine, but the Dink Master is just the one like I use the most, and I think it's the most useful for the most people. Just because the ball machine's really hard to use sometimes. Like it's hard when the courts are busy. Some of the courts don't allow it. Yeah. So it's really hard. Like luckily I have a court close that like isn't too busy and I can use it at like off peak hours. But for a lot of people, you might only have like 1 or 2 court locations, and the times you go is the times that it's going to be busy. So it's not really useful to have a ball machine. But like the Dink Master, anyone could use. So that's just my favorite training tool of the year.
Yeah, the same with me. Because I mean, I use that thing like basically every day. It's just in my garage right now. I'm not a big fan of those like sweet spot trainers because you have to like change your whole stroke mechanics, right? Like you can't add topspin, and I think it's more like a novelty. It's like a fun item to use, but I don't think it actually makes you any better.
Yeah. So you're talking about all the training paddles, right?
Yeah, like the Thrive trainer. Like it's a fun paddle. Like it's fun to do. Like I did play a game with it, and it was a lot of fun. But I wouldn't regularly use it to actually train my sweet spot.
Yeah, I would agree as well. Especially like the people that have trouble with hitting the sweet spot are probably going to struggle even more with like the trainer paddles. So I don't know if it's really going to help. I have
add spin to it, so that's the issue.
I think you're probably better off you getting one of those like top spin pros that help you learn to hit top spin, and the Dink Master, like stuff like that. I sometimes use the training paddle like on the Dink Master Pro just to see like but it's hard like using a training paddle like to like do fast hands with. It's super hard. Yeah. So I still don't know if it helps me, but yeah, maybe for some people it does help. For some. For like me, I don't think it really helps. I'd rather just use the paddle.
Yeah.
I guess I had one more shout out. I guess this is kind of like a weird category because there's really only like 2 like notable ones, and then like every company has their own, and that's the bag of the year. I think that almost every company these days has their own bag, and it's probably like something relabeled out of the factory, right? But I think the ADV bag and the kitchen bag both really like took pickleball bags to another level this year. So I wanted to shout out both of those as some of the best bags of the year. Did you have any other bag that you wanted to shout out from a company or either of those?
No, okay. I haven't really used many of them. I honestly still just use that like cheap Vatic $50 one because I don't like having too many compartments, and this one I just shove everything in, so it's easier to like swap paddle sets.
Yeah, I hear you. Especially when you're carrying so many paddles, and that's like the main priority. It's like, okay, all these pockets don't fit my paddles, so what am I supposed to do? I don't have any other awards per se. Do you have any other award categories you wanted to give out?
Nothing off the top of my head that I can think of. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to end by saying what my current mains would be, or what my current mains are, and what they would be if I went to play a tournament, because no matter what video I post, someone has to ask what my main is. I don't know what the intent is, because what my main is isn't going to help you unless you play the exact same style I do. But my current mains, if I had to go to a tournament, and the last tournament I went to, I did play with the Ripple. And side note on that, don't know if the Ripple is coming out December 6th, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But if I didn't play with that, I would have played with the Olympus, or I would have played with the J2K. I really just prefer hybrid shapes right now. Still can play it really well with the other ones, but J2K, Olympus, I have the most time on those. I feel comfortable with those. If I need to step up my game, I switch to one of those depending on, what kind of role I'm playing. Olympus, it's easier for me to take over. J2K, if I'm getting a lot of pressure and I really want to make sure that, my soft game is on point, I switch to that. So those are the two that I prefer right now. David, I won't put the pressure on you. You don't have to talk about your mains, but if you were to have a main, James Ignatowicz will hit you in the head with a nasty Nelson if you don't pick one. Or two, like I did.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. I think my favorite is the Olympus. That's why I'm debating using that tomorrow or the Invader, mainly because I want to try the Invader out a bit more. So it's probably Olympus would be my top pick, but yeah, it depends. If I want a standard shape, I really like the Neonic Flare Primex, but that sometimes gets a bit too hot to me. So I'm pretty flexible on what other standard shapes there are, because a lot of them are softer. So I mean, the Apollo is always a good choice for me. For elongated, I like the V7 Saga a lot, and a new one that I've been hitting a lot that I really like is the Luz Berserker.
Ooh, okay.
That one, I've been hitting it more, but they have one hybrid shape, like the Archer, then they have the Berserker and the Saber, which are both elongated. But the Archer has been used the most because one of my interns was using it, and that one actually feels exactly like my broken in Pulse.
Interesting.
Because they both have that double foam core, and now they both feel the same. So it's I'm trying to break in the elongated one, but the elongated one actually feels very nice too, because the Apes doesn't have a regular elongated; they have that extra long one. So
yeah, maybe they should shorten that a little bit.
Yeah, they're known for that shape though. But I don't see a lot of people using it.
I think it's obviously it's a niche shape. It's harder to use. I actually do enjoy it, but I think it's a lot harder to use for most people. Yeah. It's not for everyone. All right, I might have to check out the Lux then, or the Luz.
Yeah, Luz. Yeah,
the Luz. My bad. Also, it slipped my mind. I don't remember, but next week we'll probably have a lot of paddles to talk about that we've been hitting. That was the paddle awards for 2024. I think we are probably going to update the tier list in 2025, maybe January. So look forward to that. Go ahead and drop it in the comments which decision I made that was the stupidest. Would love to know. Also, shout out which decision was the best that David made. Or where do you agree with me and where do you disagree with David? We would love to know. Tell us in the comments. Leave us a paragraph comment. Just want to read it all. Go subscribe to Tickle My Pickleball. Catch all of his latest reviews. He's been grinding out the reviews. I don't know what's coming up next for me. Do you have anything coming up next? Probably the best paddles. That's probably what's coming up.
For me, I still need to just get some of these videos out. I need to do a video on the Gherkins, probably just a short video on that, maybe a short one on the Invader, and then I don't know what's going on with the Ripple, so I don't know if I'll release that December 1st.
Guys, we don't know what's going on with the Ripple as much as you don't know. So this would probably be the last time we talk about it until they put it out. I'm gonna embargo myself because I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I can't do it to you, and I can't do it to myself. I just don't know. But we'll see. If you're watching this and it's past December 6th, you'll know if it's out or not.
Yeah.
Anything else to say to the fine podcast listeners, David?
Shout out to that one person who said that my background reminded them of jail, of their time in prison. So, yeah, I'm in my basement
You
now.
guys,
So
we
you
take
guys
these
have a new bathroom.
we take these comments personally, okay? You made a man change his whole studio because you said he looked like he was in jail.
Yeah, but now you can see my my new Black Friday purchases. I got a rower and a treadmill. So.
Oh, you just got them. Nice.
Yeah.
Have you hit the rower yet?
Yeah. Did it right before I went to the buffet, so I was like on it for like half an hour. Felt good when I was at Golden Corral. Legs were shot.
Oh my gosh. You'll have to give me a review on that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So drop it. We love the comments. Obviously, we read them. As you see, he went and changed his whole entire studio for you. So whoever commented that, please let us know if that makes you feel good that you made him change his studio. It does look good. I like it. That's it. That's all we got. Hope you enjoyed the Paddle Awards for 2024. Thank you very much. Hope you get to play a lot of pickleball this week and have a good holiday season.